Belarus has agreed to hold talks with the European Union over the migration crisis on its borders. German Chancellor Angela Merkel spoke to Alexander Lukashenko on the phone for a second time on Wednesday, a move that's been met with some criticism. Along the border between Belarus and EU member Poland, there are signs of de-escalation after clashes between Polish police and migrants. People stranded on the Belarusian side started boarding buses to take them away from the frontier.
On the move again. Migrants on the Belarus side of the border with Poland are being brought to an unknown location. That's according to Polish authorities. For Warsaw, it doesn't signal an end to the crisis. Let me remind you that this isn't just an attack on the Polish-Belarusian border. It all started with the attack on the Lithuania-Belarus border. That was just the beginning. Then the Belarus-Latvia border was attacked. So it's simply an attack on the borders of the European Union. At the moment, it's concentrated at the part of the EU border that's under our Polish protection. For some migrants, conditions have improved while they wait and see if they can get into the EU. They've been brought to a shelter, like this one in Belarus, far from where they had hoped to be. For those wishing to get to Germany, any hopes of Berlin allowing them entry have been dashed. I think the current developments that we're seeing there clearly show, once again, the road to Belarus is a dead end for most people who want to go to Germany. There are no plans to start approving them there. Back in Belarus, some migrants fear what lies ahead for them.
Belarusian side will not let us go here because we are weapon of Belarusian government. Belarus, all immigrants here knows that Belarus use immigrants just like a weapon with a European country.
As many migrants wait for a clear path forward, Belarusian leader Alexander Lukashenko has said he is willing to hold talks with the EU on solving the crisis. But this has angered many European leaders as they don't recognise him as the legitimate leader of Belarus.
And DWs Barbara Revisal is in the Polish border region and joins us from there. Barbara, another freezing night there. Yesterday, Belarus began busing migrants away from the border to emergency shelters. What have things been like where you are today?
I mean, it's been relatively quiet on the Polish side, but we saw that the Polish border guards put out a notice saying that at another point, not far from where we're standing here, 500 migrants tried to breach the border. So they tried in a really large group to sort of push through with the idea that, you know, the police will catch some, but maybe not all of them. So we don't know how many of them made it through. And that shows that this is not totally over. Where the eyes and cameras of the media are on the Belarusian side, we see the buses and we see people having been brought to a warehouse. But out in the forests here, in this huge border region, there are still hundreds of migrants who are trying to make their way into the EU.
Now, you and your team went out last night into that forest with some aid workers and met a Syrian migrant. Tell us more about what happened.
It was a really heartrending experience because we got a tip from local aid workers that somebody had called for help from the forest, and we went out into the forest with them. It took 4 hours to find the man. And he was a Syrian man from Homs, totally exhausted. He had fallen ill on the trail. His group left him behind, but at least they sent a location pin to this aid group who then went to find him. They couldn't help him on his way. He was too ill. He had to go to a hospital. And the point now is that they're trying to keep the Polish police from pushing him back across the Belarusian border, because that would be something that this man certainly would not survive.
Now, Germany's Angela Merkel has again phoned Belarusian leader Alexander Lukashenko. What's happening on the diplomatic front?
she has been incredibly busy. She has also been talking to the Polish government yesterday in order to sort of calm their nerves, because they were complaining. Now they're talking to Lukashenko, they're not talking to us, and we're sort of the main players in this whole drama. So she also talked to them, but she's also contacted Lukashenko again and sort of put her weight once more, maybe one last time in one of these international crises, up against this big problem, and said, you have to stop this. We will not be blackmailed in the way that we will sort of give in to you. We will not lift the sanctions. And no, there were more sanctions posed on him. But you cannot do this. It's a humanitarian crisis. And so he seems to be changing his game and doesn't want to be left as the bad guy, causing more people to die, and wants to sort of show, yeah, I'm reasonable, I'm doing this just in order to gain favor and to sort of look better in the international eyes.
Barbara, thank you. DWs Barbara Revisal speaking to us from Poland. And I'm joined now by Gerald. Canals. He's a former German government migration advisor and co-founder of the think tank, the European Stability Initiative. Mr. Canals, welcome to DW. Are EU pushbacks a violation of refugees' human rights?
Well, some questions are very easy to answer, and this is one. Yes, obviously. All you need to do is read the Schengen Border Codex, the law that regulates what is allowed at EU borders. All you need to do is read a judgment by the highest European court in Luxembourg from December 2020 on the Hungarian asylum law, which practices and legalizes pushbacks there, and which found that this was in violation of EU law. And in fact, the Polish Prime Minister is not even arguing that this is in line with EU law. He simply says and explains that EU law should be irrelevant because Poland is facing an invasion. And so these basic principles, these conventions are suspended. Legally, it's clear. Unfortunately, politically, it's also clear that there is now a consensus in the EU to just accept this violation.
You said recently that we need humane control. What do you mean by that?
Well, humane control would mean doing what the laws and the conventions on the rights of children, Refugee Convention, Human Rights Convention, judgments foresee. The point about basic human rights is that they matter in a time of crisis, under pressure. And clearly, this is a deadly trap that was sprung on the EU by Lukashenko and on these people. They were lured into Belarus. They might not be refugees, but for this you need to have a status determination. But they are human beings with human dignity, and to push them back into the forest, into the hands of Lukashenko's security forces, that is not humane control. Humane control would be to say, our laws are clear, those who reach Poland have a right to apply for asylum in Poland or in the European Union. And if we want to stop people going to Belarus, we need to think about other ways to do that. That is an effort, but it is worth it if you believe in fundamental conventions and human rights.
There's been some criticism of Angela Merkel's discussions with Alexander Lukashenko. In your opinion, was it right for Merkel to speak directly to Lukashenko?
Well, if you cannot think of any other way to deal with this massive humanitarian crisis. I mean, we are talking about thousands of people at risk of death, and we are talking about a dictator who's been prepared to torture his own people, Lukashenko. You are in a trap, and Lukashenko is winning on this. He is being talked to. He holds the fate of these people in his hands, and if we do not want them to suffer, and since the European Union couldn't think of any other strategy, it is now appealing to him to help us. And of course, this is going to have a price, and the price we see already in the Belarus media, the official media, where he celebrates this as a victory. He forced the EU to talk to him, although nobody wanted to talk to him after his human rights violations and suppression of his own population since the last elections.
All right, Gerald Klaus, we'll have to leave it there. Former migration advisor to the German government, thank you very much for your time.